You've ever one of those brilliant ideas, right? A project you're super passionate about, but for some reason you just can't seem to get started? Well, according to author Steven Pressfield, you're not lazy, you're not unmotivated, you're actually in a war. So let's dive into his incredible guide for winning your inner creative battles.
Pressfield kicks things off with this really powerful idea. You know that gap you feel sometimes between the life you're living and the life you could be living? He says it's not empty space. There's a force in there, actively holding you back, and he gives it a name: resistance.
So, what is this invisible enemy? What are we really up against here? Let's take a closer look at the main villain in all of our creative lives.
Okay, so resistance, in a nutshell, is that internal voice of doubt, of procrastination, of fear. It's that sinking feeling that washes over you right when you try to do something that actually matters. It could be writing a book, starting a business, heck, even just committing to a new workout plan. Its one and only job is to keep you from growing.
And here's what's so fascinating about how Pressfield breaks this down. Resistance isn't personal. It's not some demon that's got it in for you specifically. Nope, think of it more like gravity. It's this universal, impersonal force that affects everyone. And here's the kicker: it never goes away. It will be right there waiting for you every single morning.
And because resistance is so relentless, it's got to be clever, right? It doesn't just show up as some big scary monster yelling, "Stop!" Oh no, it's way more subtle than that. It hides behind these masks that we often mistake for our own rational thoughts. So I want you to think about this for a second. How does resistance stop you? Where does this sneaky force show up in your life? Because just being able to spot its disguises, that's the first huge step to beating it.
All right, it's number one, most common mask: fear. Simple as that. Fear of failure, that's the obvious one, right? But what about the fear of success? Or the fear of being judged? That little voice that says, "You're not good enough"? Yeah, that's resistance talking. It's trying to paralyze you before you even take the first step.
The next disguise is comfort. See, resistance knows that the important work is almost always the hard work. So it dangles the path of least resistance right in front of you. It's that sudden, overwhelming urge to just check your phone one more time, watch just one more episode, or maybe reorganize your entire desk instead of, doing the actual work.
And then there's maybe its most dangerous mask of all, the perfectly rational-sounding excuse. Resistance is an expert at whispering things that sound like pure logic. "I'm just not talented enough for this. The conditions aren't quite perfect yet." It sounds like the voice of reason, but I promise you, it's really the voice of fear.
And this is how it really gets you. Think about perfectionism. It doesn't sound like an excuse, it sounds like a high standard. But really, it's just a high-class way to stay stuck. It creates this infinite loop that keeps you from ever having to put your work out there and face judgment. Every single one of these thoughts feels so valid in the moment, but they're all just clever disguises for resistance.
So here's the thing. Even the absolute masters feel this fear. Get this, the actor Henry Fonda, even at 75 years old, threw up before every single performance. Every time. He didn't wait for the fear to just magically disappear. He acted in spite of it. He felt that resistance, and he walked on stage anyway.
Which brings us to the antidote. So how do we fight back? Well, Pressfield's solution isn't some magic pill. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about your work. It's the decision to stop being an amateur and start being a professional.
Okay, let's really dig into this, because this is the absolute heart of the book. The amateur, they're obsessed with the outcome. Their ego is completely on the line. They're paralyzed with questions like, will people like it? What if I fail? But the professional, they are focused entirely on the process. They just show up to work, kind of like a plumber. A plumber doesn't ask if they're inspired to fix the pipes, right? It's their job. The professional's identity isn't tied to the result. It's tied to the simple act of showing up and doing the work.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? I write only when inspiration strikes. Fortunately, it strikes every morning at 9 o'clock sharp. See? The professional doesn't sit around and wait for the muse to show up. They create a routine so the muse knows exactly where to find them every single day. Inspiration isn't something that happens to you, it's a result of your discipline.
Okay, so let's get practical. How do we turn this mindset into an actual daily battle plan? How do you really implement this professional approach and win the war, day in and day out? The plan itself is pretty simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Step one, you set a time and a place. You designate a secret workspace and work hours. Step 2, you show up, no matter what. You do not consult your mood for permission. You honor the schedule. It's a job. Step 3, you do the work. You put in the time even when it's a grind, especially when it's a grind. And finally, step 4, you fully expect resistance to be there again tomorrow, because this battle is never truly over.
I love this metaphor. It's like you have two wolves inside of you, a fear wolf and a courage wolf. The one that gets bigger, the one that grows stronger, is simply the one you feed. Every time you give in to distraction, you're feeding that fear wolf. And every time you sit down and do the work, no matter how small the effort, you're feeding the courage wolf. Over time, one of them is going to win.
And this might be the most profound idea in the whole book. What if resistance wasn't your enemy at all? What if it was actually your guide? Pressfield argues that the amount of resistance you feel is a direct measure of how important that work is to your soul. If you felt nothing, it wouldn't matter. That fear, it's a compass, and it's pointing you true north, directly at your calling.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. What's the work that your resistance is trying so hard to stop you from doing? That thing you keep procrastinating on, that big project that fills you with a mix of excitement and total dread? That's it. That is the work you are meant to do. That's where your unlived life is waiting for you. The only question left is, are you going to show up for the battle tomorrow?